Yeah, I don't know. You know, I drew when I was a kid, and I studied at the Nelson Art Gallery on weekends. They had an underprivileged children's art class.
Were you an underprivileged child?
Well, I got in there. I slipped in. So at that time, I was in a drawing class, and I was doing a little watercolor like I'd learned in Dodge City. And this man came up to me and he said, what are you doing? And I said, well, I'm painting this rock and river and so on. And he said, well, son, he said, I don't know how to tell you this, but someday you're going to have to get tight and paint loose. And this man was, God, I'm trying to think of his name, kind of slipped his name right out, but he was Jackson Pollock's teacher. It was, oh God, this is going to drive me crazy. Thomas Hart Benton. Thomas Hart Benton, yeah. He taught Pollock. Anyway, I studied there, and I found that I would go into the theater and draw the actors.
The movie theater or stage theater?
Stage theater, where they were rehearsing plays, and I'd sketch the actors. And so that was sort of my beginning of my art career. When I arrived in Los Angeles, I had worked at La Jolla Playhouse, and my friend who was my boss there, he was an interior designer who was working with Mary Price, Vincent Price's wife, who was an interior designer. They had a kiln where they did tile work at Vincent's house, and I went there and made some tiles. And that's where I saw, Vincent was an art collector, and that's where I saw my first Franz Klein, my first Jackson Pollocks, my first de Koonings, and so on. We're at his house. I'd been painting abstractly, but I'd never really thought that anybody really painted abstractly until I saw these things. And so I started doing work, and I started showing with the painters around at that time.
It must have been interesting to be exposed to your first abstract art through somebody's private collection as opposed to through a museum.
Yeah.
Did that in a way encourage you to later become a collector? I mean, because it was part of how you were first exposed to it. I know you collect a lot of art.
Yeah. Well, Vincent gave me a painting actually when I was about. I was 19 or 20. Vincent gave me a small painting. I don't even remember who was buying it. Mm-hmm. And I said, I know that you're probably going to be a collector, so let me start drawing.
Gee, how nice.
And then when I got my first money, I did start collecting. It's like a compulsion. I was thinking about the other day. I think that, you know, I don't have a formula where I go to the right dealer and buy the right painting. I've been very fortunate to sort of have an eye. I bought Andy Warhol's first soup can painting, hand painted for $70.
I really want to thank you a lot for talking with us.
No, it's always a pleasure. It's great listening to your show.
Dennis Hopper, recorded in 1996. He died in 2010. After a break, we'll hear my interview with Isabella Rossellini, who starred with Hopper in Blue Velvet. First, here's Hopper in a scene from Apocalypse Now. Hopper played a drug-addled photojournalist in Vietnam during the war. In this scene, he's talking to the Martin Sheen character, Lieutenant Willard, who's in a cage in the jungle, held captive by the renegade colonel Sheen's character was sent to find. The character played by Marlon Brando. I'm Terry Gross, and this is Fresh Air.
He likes you because you're still alive. He's got plans for you. Lana, I'm not going to help you. You're going to help him, man. You're going to help him. I mean, what are they going to say, man, when he's gone, huh? Because he dies. When it dies, man. When it dies, he dies. What are they going to say about him? What are they going to say? He was a kind man. He was a wise man. He had plans. He had wisdom. Bull, man. Am I going to be the one that's going to set them straight? Look at me wrong.
This is the end, beautiful friend. This is the end.